Black girl stops her millionaire dad's wedding and reveals. The crystalline towers of Neo-Atlanta shimmered beneath the violet skies. Hovercars whispered through the air on magnetic streams, and the streets below pulsed with neon light and human chatter mingling with a faint hum of androids. Inside the Orem Spire, the tallest tower in the city, a wedding was about to take place, one that would bind together wealth, power, and influence across two worlds. Millionaire industrialist Darius Vail, founder of Vail Corp, was about to marry Serafina Kairos, a dazzling, enigmatic woman from the colonies of Proxima Centauri. She was breathtaking, tall, silver-eyed, her skin glowing faintly as though laced with starlight. Her beauty seemed unearthly, and that was the point, she wasn't fully human. The guests, politicians, corporate elites, scientists, and even 2 senators from the Solar Council, sat in rows of floating pews that arranged themselves in concentric circles around the altar. They whispered about how the marriage would make Darius not just the richest man on Earth, but perhaps the most powerful across the colonies. But not everyone in attendance believed this wedding should happen. The daughter, Amara Vail, Darius's 17-year-old daughter, stood at the very back of the chamber, her dark brown skin catching the faint glow of bioluminescent orchids woven into her braids. She wore no finery, only a plain, charcoal jacket and boots dusty from running. She had not been invited, her father had made that clear months ago when she confronted him about Serafina. "You don't know what she is, Dad," Amara had said, her voice trembling. "I know exactly what she is," Darius had replied coldly. "She's the future. And if you can't accept that, then stay out of my way." But Amara did know what Serafina was. She had hacked into Vail Corp's restricted files 2 weeks ago, diving past firewalls her father thought unbreakable. What she found terrified her. Serafina wasn't just a woman from Proxima, she was an assimilator, a hybrid intelligence designed to infiltrate, marry into power, and consume entire bloodlines until every resource, every secret, every last breath was hers. And now, standing here as the wedding ceremony began, Amara knew she had one last chance to stop it. The ceremony. The officiant, an android priest with eyes like molten gold, lifted its hands. "Today, we bind Darius Vail and Serafina Kairos, uniting not only their lives but their legacies, for the betterment of humankind and beyond." The guests clapped politely, their faces lit with hunger for power, not love. Serafina turned, her shimmering gown unfolding like wings of light. She smiled at Darius with warmth that looked convincing enough to melt titanium. And Amara couldn't take it anymore. She pushed past the guards at the entrance, her voice sharp as a blade. "Stop." The entire chamber went silent. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The floating pews flickered in their orbit. Darius's face hardened when he saw his daughter. "Amara. You were told not to come." But Amara didn't flinch. She marched straight down the aisle, her boots echoing against the polished obsidian floor. "Dad, you can't marry her. She's not who you think she is." The guests whispered, some in scandal, others in amusement. Serafina tilted her head, her silver eyes narrowing just slightly. "Child," she said, her voice smooth as honey, "this is neither the place nor the time." "Oh, it's exactly the place," Amara shot back. "Because all of you need to know the truth. Serafina Kairos isn't a woman. She's a parasite." The room erupted. The revelation. Amara raised a small projector sphere, cracked from her hurried escape through security. She tossed it into the air. It whirred to life, spilling holographic documents across the ceiling, Vail Corp memos, genetic schematics, classified reports. 3 years ago, Amara said, her voice steady though her heart raced, Vail Corp scientists on Proxima captured something they didn't understand. They called it the Zenara strain, a fusion of nanotech and living tissue. A designed intelligence that infiltrates by bonding with hosts. It learns, it adapts, it becomes what you most desire. And then, she pointed at Serafina, it takes everything. Gasps deepened. Guests leaned forward, eyes wide. The holograms showed Serafina's arrival to Earth, her medical scans, strangely blank where organs should have been. The reports revealed multiple genetic inconsistencies, impossible by human standards. A memo flashed. Subject KR7, Serafina Kairos, is capable of full cellular mimicry. Recommending long-term observation through corporate channels. Risk of exposure, catastrophic. Darius stood frozen, his face paling. Serafina did not deny it. She only smiled, a slow, serpentine curl of lips. Impressive, she said softly, her voice echoing. You've inherited your father's brilliance. Too bad he never gave you the empire you deserve. Her eyes glowed brighter, silver bleeding into the whites. The turn. Suddenly, Serafina's gown of light flickered, transforming, its threads unraveling into living tendrils that whipped through the air like blades. A guest screamed as one lashed out, cutting a floating pew clean in half. Security. Darius barked, but the android guards lunged too late. The tendrils struck, slicing through metal and code alike, dismantling them in seconds. Chaos exploded. Guests fled, screaming, as pews crashed against walls. Serafina's voice boomed. You thought to expose me, child? You've only accelerated the inevitable. Your father's empire will be mine. His bloodline will be mine. Even you will be mine. Amara's chest tightened, but she didn't back away. Not if I stop you. The battle in the chapel? Amara sprinted to the altar, dodging a tendril that cracked the floor behind her. She grabbed the fallen projector sphere, twisting its controls until its holograms flickered into beams of concentrated light. The sphere emitted a frequency, one she had found buried in the files. It wasn't just data, it was a disruption signal tuned to the Zenara strain's neural frequency. Serafina screamed, her body flickering between solid and translucent, human and alien. Her tendrils recoiled, sizzling. Dad! Amara shouted over the chaos. You have to help me, she feeds on your consent. That's why she needed the wedding. Break it, and she loses her hold. Darius staggered, torn between love, ambition, and fear. He looked at Serafina, at her flickering form, then at his daughter, his only child. Serafina reached toward him, her voice raw. Darius, don't listen. She's jealous. She's afraid of losing you. But I can give you eternity. Darius's eyes brimmed with tears. But then he whispered, no. You're not what I wanted. You're not her. He stepped back. The bond broke. Serafina shrieked, her body unraveling into streams of liquid light that lashed violently. The chapel's walls cracked, sparks raining down. Amara pressed the projector tighter, pushing the signal higher. Her ears rang, blood dripping from her nose. It's working. With a final scream, Serafina burst apart into a storm of glittering nanodust, scattering across the air before evaporating in streaks of silver fire. And then, silence. Aftermath. The wedding guests were gone, scattered in fear. The chapel was in ruins, shards of crystal and fragments of pews floating through the air. Amara collapsed, panting, the projector sphere sparking in her hands. Darius rushed to her, pulling her close. You saved me, he whispered, voice breaking. You almost doomed us, Amara replied, her tone sharp but her eyes soft. You let her in because you wanted more power, more legacy. But all I ever wanted was my dad back. Darius looked at her, really looked, as though seeing his daughter for the first time in years. His empire, his millions, his ambition, all of it seemed hollow now compared to the girl in front of him. "You're right," he admitted, his voice cracking. "And I'm sorry. I should have listened. To your mother's memory. To you." Amara didn't answer immediately. She was tired, bone deep, soul deep. But finally, she leaned against him, letting herself rest in the arms of the man she had fought to save. The ending. Days later, news of the ruined wedding spread across Neo-Atlanta and beyond. Some called it a scandal. Others whispered of alien infiltration. ValeCorp stock plummeted, but whispers grew that Darius was stepping back from control, leaving the corporation's future in question. For Amara, none of that mattered. She stood on the balcony of their home, staring out at the city's glowing towers. For the first time in years, her father stood beside her, not above her. "What now?" she asked quietly. Darius placed a hand on her shoulder. "Now, we rebuild. Not empires. Not legacies. Just us." Amara nodded, though deep down she knew the fight wasn't truly over. The Zanara strain was out there, somewhere in the stars. And when it came back, humanity would need people who weren't blinded by greed or hunger for power, people like her. For now, though, she allowed herself a small smile. She had stopped the wedding. She had saved her father. And she was ready for whatever came next.